Hello people of the internet, my name is Sarah, or as I'm known on the internet, Sketchbook Sarah, and today I have a very special sketchbook tour for you. I have recently just completed my new sketchbook, and the more I work at my sketchbook, the more it just becomes more of an art journal than a strict sketchbook, but this is my favorite one to date. And I started during my semester abroad in Italy, and then I finished it up when I moved back home for Colorado, and then I also took it to Florida. So there's a lot of really juicy drawings in here, and like I said, I really embraced sort of more of a different style and really sort of came up with my own special technique for how I like to do things. And this sketchbook is really polished. Before I give this tour, I want to give a quick disclaimer. By no means do you need to have a sketchbook that is this pretty and this polished. I personally just like to make my sketchbooks feel like finished and complete works of art, but definitely don't need to do that. You can have as scratchy and messy of a sketchbook as you want. You by no means have to do all of this extra stuff, but it's cool to look at the fun stuff that is extra because I like the way it looks. But let's get into the tour. Before we get officially started, I want to address the supplies I use. So this is the sketchbook that I use, and if you have all the questions, you can Google it. And then I use Winsor Newton watercolor as well as gouache. And then I use all of these colored pencils, which are mostly from Polychromos, but a couple are Prismacolor and a couple are miscellaneous brands. And then I have all these various pens, including Jelly Roll gel pens and just a bunch of random stuff. These are Pentel Aqua brushes. And if you don't know what it is, go to an art supply store and wander around and pick something that you think you would like that looks similar to it. Because, supplies don't necessarily make or break your thing. I feel like a lot of beginner artists are really obsessed with supplies, but don't go out and buy a big set of these colored pencils because I said to, because they're really expensive, and I invested with them after playing with nothing but ballpoint pen for years, so I feel like I have to put that out there. Please don't go out and buy a bunch of expensive supplies you don't need. Anyway, let's just get into the meat and potatoes, which is the actual sketchbook. Here I have the title page. I'm just playing around with different fonts here, and I just have all of my info. I want to get back into writing my social media stats now that I'm growing a little bit on social media, which is really exciting. This is a local sandwich place, which is really good. Here I am testing out all of the new pens I have throughout the sketchbook. I really like just keeping a little test swatch thing in the beginning because you don't know how supplies will behave on your paper and everything. And I ordered these paint markers, so I wanted to swatch them all because I got 72 colors, which is a lot. This first page I ended up doing a bit later. I started with this gemstone and then I went back in and did the horse. I think this anatomy right here looks really funky. I think it was accurate to my reference photo, but I think having it translated, it just looks kind of weird. So I kind of wish that I stylized this better and just made it look less like this back half isn't as disconnected from this first half as it is. But it was this horse was standing on a hill and it was kind of a weird angle, but I'm not bad at drawing, okay? It's just my art style. But I was playing here with sort of this cyber fairy tale inspired sort of aesthetic. I'm just pulling from a bunch of different stuff and I'm integrating it with all of this different text over here and different stickers, and I just kind of like this mixed media feel it has. I feel like when you add in these little elements, it sort of makes the sketchbook feel kind of less sacred and more like it's yours. I don't know, adding stickers to me just feels cathartic. I feel like I'm popping, it's like when you break a seam on a book almost. I don't know, that's a weird way of thinking of it. This is my favorite page in here. This is just a spread I did of Italy. This is a street down in Florence, which I really liked. I love this subtle color here. I was really inspired by Marco Bucci's tutorial on how he does his plein air sketching, so I highly recommend checking out his channel. He has a lot of great art tips if you need more information on educational stuff, as well as Patrick Okra. I actually met him when I was in Florence. I saw him painting and I went up to him and I was like, wow, you're really good. And he's like, oh yeah, whatever. He was just talking to me and I was like, yeah, I go to RISD. Oh, I was wondering if you had an Instagram. I wanted to see it. And I saw it, I was like, oh wait, I follow you. I just didn't recognize your art yet because he was just started, and that was really cool. But yeah, we had a whole conversation, so that was fun. And this is just more colored pencil, and I'm just talking about Italy here. I really liked incorporating different text here. This is just a different spread. It rained a lot in Florence, and I liked the way it made these really warms and cool blues. It reminded me a lot of Vincent van Gogh's paintings of Paris. This is just in Ponte Vecchio. There's a statue here. I drew this from life. It's not my favorite thing in here, but when I'm creating my sketchbook spreads, I like to keep in mind color scheme and layout, so that way it looks good when it's together. Even if I don't really like the drawing, at least it still is following the same color scheme. These are different studies I did from life just to sort of get a grasp on drawing perspective really quickly. I had exhibited my other sketchbook in this building here, which I actually learned about in my art history course, so it was kind of a weird full circle moment where I'm like, dang, I know about this building because I like did a research thing on it in high school, and now I'm having my art exhibited here. So it's funny how like things just sort of felt full circle in this moment, and this was like a really cool thing to have my art exhibited in Florence. So I just did different sketches, and then while I was sketching, the people there were like videoing things, and I got like interviewed and stuff, so now I'm in their catalog. Yay! I went to Siena and I just painted these different roses here. I really liked this sort of looser, kind of chunkier, blocky sketch, and I like these little gaps that I left in the underpainting, and then I wanted to carry this sort of same color scheme over here to a sketch of where I would go to class every single day. I forget the name of this church, but I would go by it every day, and I painted it earlier in the semester, and then I repainted it here. And I think that the improvement from sketchbook to sketchbook is just so, like, it's just really satisfying to me. I'll throw it up on the screen so you can compare. I wanted to get more playful and illustrative with my work, so I wanted to just sort of make, like, this almost cartoon fairy tale sort of flat look that I was sort of thinking of, like, a mural. My mom said it kind of looked like a painting on, like, an Italian restaurant wall, and I kind of agree, like, kind of Olive Garden vibes, but I like it. I like the color scheme, and I like this purple I used for the shadow. This is a statue that's right by my house, so I just put some colors down and then sketched it from life and then added these white highlights on top. And then I went to a garden, Michelangelo's Piazza garden where the rose is, and I just painted that while I listened to a live band. This is when I took a day trip to Siena, and there's this like really beautiful overlook that just goes out into like the endless blue as like all these like different villas and castles and cypress trees fade into the horizon. And I just thought it was so pretty how everything sort of flattened out. And I really liked these like weird houses, and I loved how like Italy to me just looks very illustrated. Like the shapes of foliage and houses to me just look like they're straight out of a fairy tale. So I wanted to emphasize that, as well as these like lines from the vineyards, from the hills. And like I said, just really wanted to have more fun and have more of like a children's fairy tale vibe, because while I was painting from life, I wanted to get sort of the vibe, but not necessarily have it be like one-to-one from life. These are some different sketches I saw of people around Florence. I was just drawing from life with an erasable pen and then writing about my observations about the crowd. This was some more school project stuff I did. I had to do a project on a specific neighborhood in Florence, so I just went there and I sketched. This is one of my favorite drawings in here. It's the same building as the one with all the arches. Let's see if I can find it. This one. This is like the same building, it's just the outside and the roof, and this is the same building there's like a statue in that square. I took myself out to eat at this really cute restaurant. One of my last days, I got carbonara, and I just sketched this, and then I sketched the restaurant really quickly, and then once I got home, I drew this later. This is a drawing I did of Siena on the plane ride. I just really liked this photo of, like, this one little house, and then all of the castle and the other houses on the hill, and, like, the clotheslines hanging off. I just thought it was really beautiful. And then when I came home, there was a bunch of flowers from my sister's graduation, so I just sketched those with my paint markers and then went back over top with colored pencil and then a little bit of white gel pen. This is when I went home. I went out for lunch with my dad, and I just sketched the ketchup and mustard, and I've been super inspired by, like, dandelions and, like, different weeds and spiky plants, and then I just did a self-portrait in a similar style, and then I just collaged in little bits of tape that I thought suited the aesthetic. I went to Chatfield, and then I just drew with all the pens that I had in my bag, which wasn't much, but thankfully I had enough for a pretty good color scheme. And then later on, I just wanted to do like a little gemstone-inspired pink thing of a cow, just a little landscape spread. This is little like bubbles of wildflowers, and I was really inspired by like this barbed wire that is all around my house and like all around Colorado, because it's like very deserty. So things are very like pretty and soft, but they're also very spiky, and I kind of like this like punk rock feel that it adds. Because it's like very deserty, because it's like pretty and floral, but it's also spiky and kind of dangerous. This is just a little color sketch I did of my sister. I just wanted to play with layering different patterns. This is when we went camping, and I sketched the campfire here and then a bunch of different weeds and dandelions. I really like this like swirly motif, and then I ended up just going ham on the swirly pattern and just went all in on it this summer. I've just been so into these dots and these circles and these swirls. They just take over my artwork this summer. So this is just me more practicing painting from life and talking about what my experience like was camping and what was going on in my life. This is just like sort of a bubbly, swirly, sparkly, and I added some gold paint, spiky drawing I did. I like to do more abstract work from time to time just to sort of keep those skills sharp, and it's a nice painting to do without a reference. This is a drawing I did of my dog while she was sleeping in the morning, and then here I am writing. Here I am starting to play with more typography, and I just get more into that as the book goes on. This is my grandma's cat, Chloe, and then I wrote her name here in a little, like, lace bubble thing, and then I just wrote here, and like I said, more typography, And I just sort of here, I kind of really fell in love with this style, and I just wanted to keep pushing it and keep doing it. And then I took my sketchbook to Florida. So I tried to draw every single day in Florida and then write what we were doing and just sort of really capture the feeling of Florida. And here I am sticking in different little things. I use this camera to take pictures and stick them in here because I think it's just a fun little motif. The quality is obviously terrible. It's like similar to like a Chuck E. Cheese printable thing. You know, those like photo booths at Chuck E. Cheese. Very similar. But I don't know, I just like the texture that they add, and I always like sticking things into my journals, like mementos and such. This is just another sketch of the balcony. I like taping things off every once in a while and like adding this border. It's kind of ruined with the pencil sketch now, but you know, I like doing that. It just adds an extra level of finish. Just always trying to elevate my sketchbooks to the next level and just really make them feel very professional. Like, I got a lot of comments being like, oh, I thought that it came with pre-made images in it, and I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want people to think. This is a sketch of, like, the tiki boat. I thought it was kind of an odd image, so I felt like I had to explain what it is, but it's a tiki boat, so it's a tiki bar that's just floating around in the water, so that's what that is. And then this is Key West. I really like this sketch. I feel like that really captures Key West, and I really like the vibe of this one. I think it's so fun and cute, and it really feels like a storybook illustration. And then this page was, like, just this lizard and these stickers for so long, so I finally went back and talked about what we did in Miami, and I added this fun color. I really like this page. This is like a abstract doodle page, and I just really like how saturated it is, you know, like I feel like really trying to fill up every inch of the page is like a fun challenge, especially on this toned paper, because like with this dark it just makes everything so pop and vivacious, especially like in comparison to the rest of the book. This is just me talking about our camping trip that we went to, or I guess not camping. We stayed in a house, I call it like cabin, but even though it's literally not, it was just in the mountains. And then I have this last page here where I just talk about like what we did while we were camping. And then I have this fairy portal background with daisies, and then I have me, which is, I'm really proud of this page. It was really fun, and I want to keep doing these like cutouts thing. I think it's just such a great way to end the sketchbook. And then I talk about the sketchbook and like what it entails and like its official goodbye, and then I have more flowers, and that's all done. And then I just have different stickers from where I took the sketchbook. I really liked thinking of it as like a little suitcase, but these ones are super faded. This used to be for Florence, that's for Venice, Burano, Key West, also Key West, Firenze, and then Jazz Club Firenze, which was one of my favorite places I went in Florence. So I'm really excited to start a new one. Yay! And I think I'm going to go really fun and customize this one, but that will be in another video on how I start my sketchbooks and sort of what my mindset is going into a new one. So stay tuned for that video, but I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. I have prints of some of my Florida stuff on my Etsy page, as well as I have a bunch of other prints for all of my other paintings. Great way to support me is doing that or commenting down below. Really just any interaction with my page helps. I'm a really small channel, so I appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I mean, have a great weekend. Bye!